Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game. Personally, I believe that this game is fantastic. I would frankly give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It feels authentic to the first picture. It feels fun to play. It kind of feels like Dead by Daylight, if you ever played that, which you probably have. If you don't know, the same game was played. Well, the same game was made by the same people who did Friday the 13th, the video game. Now, that the story of that game is rather sad, and maybe one day I might make a video on it. But with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they do what a lot of studios don't do. They find ways to improve on their old format in ways that the fan base wants, but also feels somewhat new. It's a hard balance to have, but this game has it. The 3 killers, 4 survivors dynamic is something new. Usually it's only 1 killer, but with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you have the family. And if you didn't have the family, it wouldn't be a good game. And so they found a way to incorporate that in a natural way, which is done beautifully. Because the first movie, which this game is based off of, we'll see some DLC from the second, third, maybe even some of the later movies with R. Lee Ermey. But that's beside the point. With this game, you have so many little touches and so many little details that are just remarkable. For example, the high whining of the chainsaw in this game is exactly from the first movie. If they didn't put care and thought into this game, it would have been the regular rumble, 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 rumble of a Ash's chainsaw from Evil Dead. But, speaking of Leatherface's chainsaw, he runs exactly like he does in the movie. The mocap actor for that definitely needs a bonus. The voice lines for the cook and the hitchhiker sound almost exactly like the actors. It's a little on the nose at points, but there's a lot of Easter eggs for fans. If you want another example, there's a chainsaw skin that you can put on for Leatherface that has the word Hanson on it. And if you didn't know, that's because the guy who originally played Leatherface was Gunnar Hansen. And so what we have is a group of fans who made this game, which that definitely comes across. The geography of the slaughter, no, the geography of the, are they called the Sawyers or the Slaughters in this game? I think they're called the Slaughters in this game. The slaughter house, not the map slaughterhouse, but the house has the exact geography of the first movie. It has all of the rooms where the rooms should be. It's almost like they went frame by frame into the movie. As for more how the game plays, it plays really well. All of the killers seem to have their own little niche that they fill, which is something that the Friday the 13th, the game, didn't have, where it doesn't really matter if you play as Part 6 Jason or Part 8 Jason or Part 4 Jason. There's not really a difference, but there is none of that in this game. Sissy plays so differently from Johnny. The cook plays so differently from the hitchhiker. The hitchhiker plays so differently from Leatherface, and there's a certain amount of synergy that is tantamount to making a good killer team. For example, you could use Sissy's poison gas traps as a way for the cook, who usually plays an anchor type role, be able to go and find that survivor with his hearing, which can then tag the survivor, for the entire killer team. And so you have Johnny playing well with the cook, who are both almost stalker type killers, whereas the hitchhiker and Sissy both have the ability to go through the little tunnels and the tunnels and the little slits in the wall that appear for the survivors. Meanwhile, Leatherface, if you call it out, Leatherface can immediately delete those tools, which can create dead ends for survivors. And the tunnels are a great way of adjusting the way the windows worked in Friday the 13th, the game, where they tried to avoid the looping of a Dead by Daylight by having a window that's broken by Jason cause damage. But it didn't cause enough damage for it to mean anything. You'd have to go in and out of the window like 12 times. It was insane. But with this, the cook and Johnny can close the tunnels, which gives them a lot more utility. And I'll go into utility a little more. But the interplay between the killers requires them to work together. And working together is what the survivors need to do to survive, and it's what the killers need to do to try and kill the survivors. It's the best way to play the game. And going into a little more into utility, the cook, even though he plays more of a slower role, he's balanced in the ways that he can manipulate the metagame, where he can harvest the most amount of blood. Whereas Leatherface has the worst. So, and the cook also has padlocks, where he can double lock doors. And so what happens is you have all of these characters working well together and blending together into something that both expands and improves the way Friday the 13th, the game, worked. But this game is so much better because you have survivors having their own perks now. You have a survivor that is meant to fight back. You have a survivor that can instantly pick a lock, pretty much. You have a survivor that can listen in on where the nearest killer is to him. All of the survivors play very, very differently to the other survivors, which is something that Friday the 13th, the game, didn't have. And even then, the balancing for the survivors was pretty fun, I'm not going to lie, in the first game. But this game also takes the wants and needs of the fan base and puts it ahead of being lazy, which is something very new for this era of gaming in particular. There is a day one DLC, but it's not a battle pass. It's not pay to win. It's basically a fun, unalive pack for the killers, which it's $7, and I like this media team, so I'm gonna support them. So if you don't want to support a company that has day one DLC, then there's nothing I can say. However, what I can say is that this game knows what it is. It knows that it's meant to be fun, and it knows that there are going to be a lot of people like me who play the shit out of this game, and they included a lot of complexity for people like me. So they're working on both fronts with a limited budget and a somewhat small team. I know I just screwed up in the game film that you're watching, but bear in mind this is the first game I played. So I say all that to say, all in all, this game is fantastic. You need to go out and buy it. It's $35 on Steam, but there are some caveats that I need to tell you. The launch day didn't go well. Well, okay, it went better than the launch day than Friday the 13th, the game. So I'll give them that. There are a lot of issues with mics, with server issues. The queue times are really long, taking up to like 3 to 4 minutes. But some people haven't had those issues. Some people have had a lot of issues. Luckily, I had a few issues yesterday, but it was really fun. Gun Media Team has... It takes a lot for them to add more DLC. They're not like Dead by Daylight where they do it like a month or every 2 months. They are... their content cycle is a lot more delayed than the Dead by Daylight team or, say, the Warzone team. But this game has a lot of heart. If you're a horror fan, you need to buy this game. I'm not being paid. I'm not being paid by anybody. However, if there are sponsors out there who are looking for a new client, right here. But that's just me. I got to plug myself. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, but this game is worth it. It's worth the money. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.